In Japanese folklore, there is a magical creature that lives deep in the forests. It looks like a dog or a raccoon dog, but it's actually a tanuki, a shape-shifting spirit of the mountains and the forests. Tanuki can change their size, grow up to 6 feet tall and weigh over 600 pounds. Their fur can be any color imaginable, and they often have an extra tail. Sometimes they use these tails to carry their food or even as a fifth leg to help them walk through the forest. They also have supernatural abilities like invisibility, teleportation, and controlling the weather. They can turn into humans, both male and female, and they often disguise themselves as beautiful women to lure unsuspecting travelers off the path and into the forest. Some tanuki are tricksters, and they love to play pranks on humans. They can transform into objects like trees or rocks, and then wait until someone comes along and starts carving them up. Then, when the tanuki feels like it, they can escape and leave the person who's trying to chop them up as firewood. Now, not all tanuki are evil. Some of them are actually benevolent spirits that help lost travelers find their way out of the forest. And if you happen to come across one in the wild, you should show them some respect. Offer them some food and maybe even bow down to them, because if you don't, they might just turn you into a rabbit and eat you. In some stories, rabbits are actually the favorite food of the tanuki. One time this guy was traveling through the forest and he heard some strange noises. He couldn't tell if they were coming from above or below. So he did the smart thing and grabbed an axe and started chopping down a tree. But as soon as he cut the tree down, another one grew up in its place. This happened over and over again, and he didn't know what to do. So finally, he chopped down a big rock and made a fire. The tanuki, who was sitting on the rock, transformed into a beautiful woman and introduced herself as Tamamo no Mei. She told him that she was cursed by an old man and would turn back into the tanuki unless a kind young man would marry her. Well, the dude was only 17 years old and had never seen such a beautiful woman before, so he took her home and introduced her to his mother. She was such a good girl that his mum liked her right away and accepted her into the family. They lived together happily for 3 years, but eventually Tamamo no Mei's curse wore off and she returned to the forest. Before she left, she gave the guy a magical hairpin that would allow him to transform into a tanuki at will, and whenever he missed her, he could just put the hairpin in his hair and visit her in the forest. There was also a famous tanuki in Kyoto named Ibuki. He was the leader of the Tanuki clan and had a huge following. One day he led his followers in a massive prank war against the local farmers. They stole their crops, turned their cows into horses, and even transformed one farmer into a cat. The farmers were so desperate that they went to the emperor and told him to do something about the tanuki menace. So the emperor sent his 2 daughters to go out into the forest and capture one of the tanuki as a pet. Now, being princesses, they weren't exactly equipped to deal with the Tanuki, but luckily they met up with a handsome hunter named Shutendoji. He helped them track down Ibuki and his gang, and then the three of them set up an ambush and captured a few Tanuki, including Ibuki himself. The princesses wanted to keep them as pets, but Shutendoji thought that would be a bad idea. He took the Tanuki to an old priest who turned them back into their animal forms. Then he tied them all up and threw them in a river. Shutendoji was gonna let them go further downstream, but Ibuki begged him to let him stay behind in Kyoto. He promised to never cause trouble again, and Shutendoji agreed. Ibuki kept his word and eventually became a good friend to Shutendoji. Together, they defeated demons, goblins, and even giant birds who came to steal the princesses away. Now, most of these stories are considered fairy tales and probably never really happened, but there may have been a grain of truth hidden somewhere inside of them. The Tanuki probably originated from an ancient animistic belief that nature spirits inhabited the bodies of animals, and these nature spirits were revered and respected. In fact, many people believed that if they could make friends with these spirits, they would gain special powers. So they made offerings of food and drink to the animals and even built shrines in their honor. Even today, people in Japan still worship the Tanuki as a kind of local deity, hoping that they will bring them good luck in the new year. If you like folk tales from around the world, make sure to subscribe and check out the series in the description. And now, after you click the link in the description, you'll never look at a raccoon dog the same way again.